What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, family and friends? Everyone out there in podcast land, my name is Dave Smith. Yes, sir, that is DAYSMI to the double S Smith. And this is Tough Conversations Podcast, the podcast where me and my guests discuss tough topics from different points of view to understand the issues at large. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can follow us on Instagram at ToughTalk_PDT. That again is ToughTalk_PDT. To interact with us in our weekly polls and to get more information about the guests and episodes that I'll have taking place throughout the season. As I always say, hey, yo, listen, we is here. Episode 7, Tough Conversations Podcast, man. This is special to me because I didn't even think that we was going to get past episode 5 when I was envisioning this. And the fact that we are 7 episodes into season 1 is absolutely crazy. So I just want to thank all of you guys for sticking around, sticking with this, really motivating me to continue on going in these episodes, to continue on and bringing this podcast to life. Y'all really don't understand how grateful I am to be doing this, to be here with you guys, to be just sharing tough conversations with you guys. So I appreciate the fact that you guys are sticking and supporting and just here for the ride. So thank y'all for that. As I always say, I always want to give my contribution to the Most High, the Lord Savior Jesus Christ, for just blessing me to be able to see another day of having this podcast and seeing all the support from you guys, man. I thank God for you guys and gals out there who have been listening, who've been giving me y'all feedback. Whatever criticism that you guys have, I appreciate it all, especially when it's constructive criticism. I really appreciate it. So thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for sharing. I was just looking at the analytics for the past 3 episodes, and man, when I say the jump from like low numbers to just high numbers in terms of viewership and how many people are streaming and streaming the different episodes, it has been like, I couldn't even imagine this amount of support. So thank you all. So many people have been, telling me like, man, I check out the podcast, bro. Keep going on with it. This, and the third. And bro, literally almost brings tears to my eyes, man. I can honestly say that I truly appreciate the support. I can go on and on about it, but I'm going to leave it at that. Thank y'all so much from the bottom of my heart. Today is an interesting topic. On today's topic, we're going to actually be discussing something that is a topic that somebody gave to me. A very good friend called me a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, I want you to talk about this topic because I don't feel like this topic gets enough, attention. This topic doesn't get enough like unbiased attention. So I really want you to talk about this topic. And I thought about it and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna fit this in there. And then, I really thought about it, prayed about it. And I was like, you know what, Lord, maybe this is, I feel like this is where you lead me to go. So this topic that we're going to talk about today is talking about accountability. And so I can't wait to get into discussion about this because I really sat back, did my research, talked to some people about it, really, searched the web and did a lot of research about this. And just even in my own experience, really wanting to talk about what it means to have accountability and what is accountability and how do we utilize it in our day-to-day lives. So today's tough conversation is going to be about accountability. But before we get into our tough conversation for today, as you already know, we like to do a segment on the show called Post of the Week. This your post of the week. I said it's post. No, I'm just playing. I'm not going to. We are not going to have that as the song for the post of the week. I was just trying to try that out. Clearly, it did not work. So post of the week, man. It's where we stop for a minute before we get into the topic of the show and discuss the post of the week. But before we discuss the post of the week, I just wanted to first of all shout out to Pro Kingdom Apparel. If you guys haven't been on the Instagram page, what are you waiting for? First of all. Second of all, go follow me on Instagram at toughtalk_PDT. And after that, go follow Pro Kingdom Apparel. Actually, go follow Pro Kingdom Apparel before you follow me on Instagram. Because if you ain't follow Pro Kingdom Apparel, I don't want you to follow me. So go follow Pro Kingdom, just like it sounds, is how it's spelled, Apparel on Instagram. Check out their pre-orders. We're taking pre-orders for orders right now, and go cop you a shirt. If you are of the Christian faith, if you are a believer in Christ, if you love Christ, go support Pro Kingdom Clothing. Sizes from extra small, I believe, to 3XL. And so go support Kingdom Minded Clothing and go show your love and support. Even if you don't buy a shirt, share it so that way somebody else who supports the kingdom and the work of the kingdom can be hip to this clothing line. It's really great. Hopefully we sell out of shirts so that way we can just bring more ideas, more everything. So go check out Pro Kingdom Apparel right now. Like, stop what you're doing. I know. You can listen to the podcast and go check out Pro Kingdom Apparel at the same time. You drive and text on your phone. No, I'm just playing. But please go check out Pro Kingdom Apparel. Cop a shirt. Tell a friend to cop a shirt. And let's do this. So, going on to the post of the week. The post of the week this week is something that I found on Facebook. And I used to not tell people like who shared the post or whatever, but I felt like it was necessary. It's starting out now. I think that it's necessary for like me to say who I found the post. That way y'all know I ain't lying. I just ain't like coming up with something out of my behind. But this post of the week is from Daniel Green. And the post says 6 things. It's 6 things. I guess this person wrote it in a like iCloud notes or Apple notes or whatever. But it says this. It said by age 21, you should be smart enough to realize, number 1, your 9 to 5 is someone else's passive income. Find new ways to make money and create your own income stream. Now, I'm going to break these down one by one because if I wait to at the end to like dissect all this, it's just going to be too much. But first and foremost, that first one is critical. Like, yes, your 9 to 5 is definitely someone else's passive income, and you should definitely be making. If you work in a 9 to 5, that's great. I work a 9 to 5, and so I would never tell nobody else like, hey, speak down on 9 to 5. I work a 9 to 5, and sometimes that's just all you got going on. But you should definitely be trying to make things happen for yourself to where you can. That's not your only stream of income. Because if that 9 to 5 just so happen to let you go, furlough you, whatever the case may be, you might be sitting on your hands for a minute. And that's not the way to be. So definitely making sure that you have options, get into a trade, get into something that, piques your interest and that can provide you with money, whether it's art, whether it's makeup, whether it's hair, whether it's cutting hair, whether it's, working on cars. I got a friend on my Facebook page and, he does, a whole lot of outdoor stuff. He does a lot of landscaping and things of that nature and also works a 9 to 5. And this brother is one of the hungriest brothers I know. Like when I say he's a go-getter, he go gets it. So definitely having multiple streams of income besides that 9 to 5, it's definitely something that you should something you should go after, something you should chase, and don't let that 9 to 5 be your end all be all. The second one says porn and masturbation are the greatest killers of success. It will stunt and destroy your brain. Now, this is a very tough talk about tough topics. Man, that was out there. When I read that, I was like, ooh, man, I don't know. That's kind of tough to speak about, especially when it pertains to men, because I can admit that like this is going to rub people the wrong way. I struggled with that for a long time. Oh my God, shut the podcast down. He said, what? Yes, your man's DAYSMI to the double S Smith struggled with that for quite some time. But may the glory be all to God. I've overcome it. and continuously every day. It's an everyday thing. You overcome it. And so, yes, 100%. When you, and I know brothers who are trapped into that same mindset. People look at porn and all that stuff and think it's like nothing wrong with it. Bro, I follow this guy on Instagram. His name is Gianni Francisco it's an Italian last name. I cannot pronounce it for the life of me, but he's a porner and he's a PMO coach, and he pretty much speaks out against PMO. I will have you to look that up because I don't want to say that over the air, but he's a coach, and a lot of his stuff that he's coaches about and talks about helped me get over it, as well as many other things. But I definitely would say that it stunts your growth, and mentally, and it puts you in the wrong mindset, especially for men. It puts you in the wrong mindset when it comes to relationships, when it comes to women, when it comes to dealing with women, when it comes to just your ideology of women. Like, it ruins everything about that for you. And so when you can conquer those urges, when you can conquer your flesh, that's what we're going to talk about. When you can conquer your flesh, you will be a better man for it, and you will be a better man in your community for it. So get a hold on it, man. If you haven't heard this already, you hearing it now. Get a hold of it, conquer it, pray about it, seek help about it. Number 3, don't take advice from people who are not where you want to be in life. Now, this one is a slippery slope. And I say that for 2 reasons. The one reason is that while I agree with this point, I don't always agree with where it comes from. Because while you shouldn't take advice from certain people when it comes to people who are not where you want to be in life, I feel like when you have somebody who maybe, like, say for instance, you want to be a millionaire, but you have an idea, sometimes you're not always easily accessible. You don't have the accessibility to go talk to other millionaires or talk to millionaires about how they achieve this and this. And then they certainly don't make it easy to do such things. Let's be honest, especially if you don't have the money to go attend a conference or a convention or pay this money to go take one of these classes or something like that, so you definitely going to seek the help from people seek the help of people who are around you. And they may not be in the same position as you, but you just hope and pray that, them listening or their feedback helps progress you into a direction to where you can, thrive and get your ideas off. So I agree with this point, and I also disagree with this point to a certain extent. Number 4 is no one is coming to resolve your problems. Your life is 100% your responsibility. What? Listen, I try not to pick post of the week that's attacking the topic that I'm talking about, but that's accountability, bro. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about today on this podcast. And I'm gonna say this one more time. No one is coming to resolve your problems. Your life is 100% your responsibility. Listen, a lot of times, and I'm gonna say this like clearly, bro, the ideas is flowing right now. I'm hype. Listen, a lot of times we put ourselves in positions in life that we blame other people for, and we look at everybody about, but we put ourselves in those positions. And I'm gonna leave that at that, because I'm gonna talk about this in today's topic, but that little tidbit for y'all, because we're gonna talk about it later. Number 5, if you want to find someone who is smarter than you, work with them, don't compete. Facts. Me and Tim last episode just talked about this, is that, a lot of times we spend so much time competing with people and thinking, that, we always in competition with people, that we miss out on good learning experiences. We miss out on good experiences of friendships and networking and all of those things, because we too busy competing with people. But you need to be able to work with people. Not everybody's your competition. Not everybody's like for instance, especially in the podcasting world, like I look to other podcasters who I know who are like, not so up high key on the podcast chain, but who may be down on the level that I am, to kind of like shoot ideas back and forth with, or even people who like thinking about podcasting, like, man, what do you think? That's why a lot of the topics I throw out to people, and I ask people for their feedback and things of that nature, because I want to get people's thoughts and views and opinions, and then assess those opinions and thoughts and put out the best product. And I feel like when we get to a mindset where we can be more capable of working with people instead of competing with people who are smarter than us, especially when you don't feel threatened by their smarts, and they don't make you feel threatened by their smarts, because a lot of people are smart and they use that as a weapon, and not like a weapon as in like to get, to get what they want, but as a weapon to deter you away from, progressing in your life. But you can't see it as that. You have to be willing to not compete but work with other people. Teamwork makes the dream work, and I know that's a common cliche, but it's truth. 100%. Teamwork makes the dream work. So man, build a team. Find a good team. Find some people that's smarter than you, that know more than you, and especially in some aspects of life, because we don't know everything. Maybe you might be good at this one aspect of life, and this person is better at this other aspect of life. Where y'all come together, bro, you don't know how life can be more simplistic if y'all just come together instead of working against each other. So that's number 5. And then the last one he said is that weed has 0 benefits in your life. Blunts will only slow your thinking and lower your focus. Now, I'm going to hit a lot of people over the head with this one. And some of y'all going to stop listening to the show after I make this point. But I don't care. I really don't. Listen, and this is my opinion. You can take it however you want. I 100% agree with this point. Bro, I don't care what nobody says. And you can go to school and study this. Like, it will tell you, like they will tell you in school, you can open a book, you can read whatever. They will tell you, bro, the weed that y'all smoking, the drugs that y'all taking, all these things that y'all think is, helping you free your mind and reach your expressive ideals and all of these things, bro, is hindering you in the long run. Because you become addicted to that. You mean to tell me that you think it's okay that you can't walk out the house without smoking a blunt? You mean to tell me you can't function unless you pop this pill, and that's okay? Like, really? Like, I really need y'all to think about that. And I know when a lot of people get defensive in this mechanism, because a lot of people like, and I say it like this. I used to be a heavy drinker. Like, I was definitely like, anybody who would tell you like I was a drinker, definitely before I gave my life to Christ, for sure was getting turned. But when I let that stuff go, I realized how much better mentally I could be. And I know that I was drinking to get away from certain problems in my life and things of that nature, but like I understood the dependency. For a while I had got addicted to I can't even think of the name of it, oxys. I got addicted to oxys after I had a surgery, and I never really told anybody about that experience in my life, but it was a time where those things, like, I was dependent on, because I was going through so much, and I felt like, maybe I could just like coast through life just taking this drug and being, drunk all the time and things of that nature. Couldn't go to a party without getting lit. Like, I just, like, that was me. But, and the same thing works when it comes to like, ideas and just regular, just working. Like, you feel like you can't be artistic. You feel like you can't be like yourself without this drug. Bro, it's not helping you. You may think oh man, calm me down. It this and the yeah. But you think that's natural? It's not. It's not. And especially with some of this weed y'all smoking. Listen, once again, gonna rub y'all your wrong way. Some of this weed y'all smoking is definitely not helping y'all. Cause I'm gonna be honest, some of y'all act like y'all a couple sandwiches short of a picnic. For real. I'm just being real. Once again, this part of the podcast is going. Several people have turned off the podcast at this very point. But if you're sticking with me and you you heard me up to this point, understand I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm not saying this to be critical. I'm saying this for tough conversation sake and tough love sake, because I want to see. And if you take this the wrong way, then obviously I said something that clearly might be legit. But you got to take that self-evaluation, and you have to take that self-thought and be like, man, you know what? Maybe if I let this go, I will be all right. It's just like people who smoke cigarettes. And I'm gonna leave off this subject because clearly I got way too invested in this already. I don't think I spent 5 minutes talking about this one subject. But I'm gonna use this one last example. I had a buddy who he was like, bro, you know what? I think I'm gonna quit smoking cigarettes. I was like, okay. And granted, I cannot stand the smell of cigarettes. I can't be around cigarettes. It makes my head hurt. I'm in the army, and a lot of people smoke cigarettes, and I go nowhere near them because I can't even stand the after smell of cigarettes on people. Like, that's even worse. But he's like, bro, I think I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes. All right, I said, okay, bro. I hope you do, man. Really, because your longevity is going to be better, your health is going to be better, and so on and so forth. So my brother quit smoking cigarettes probably like almost a year ago, and every time we talk, he just be like, man, I feel so much better. Like, food tastes better. This, and the third. I remember when I had to smoke a cigarette before I ate, and I'm just like, that's it. Like, that's it. And that for a lot of people, that's how it is. Like, that addiction tricks you. It makes you feel like, oh, I have to have this drug in order to, eat. I have to have this drug in order to sleep. I have to have this drug in order to function, because my functionality is attached to this drug, because my superior functionality is attached to this drug. And that's not the case. I promise you, you can achieve a superior functionality in your brain, in your muscle movements, in your everyday life if you just let that go. But a lot of people feel like that's an attack on them if you speak about things like that. But on Tough Conversations podcast, baby, we gonna talk about it all. If I ain't got no problem talking about myself and the things I've been through, why can't I talk about you? And once again, this is not to anybody in specific, or I'm specifying anybody. I'm just saying, if you into that, I promise you need to see what life is without that. And as much as you're going to combat me on that, I don't want to argue with you, bro. I'm giving you the facts, and I'm giving you what, I know to be facts, and I also know to be my opinions as well. And I feel like, in my opinion, you can do better. But the fact is, I know you probably feel like you need that. But once again, that fact that you feel like is a fact is really opinion. But I'm going to just leave it at that. Once again, that was the post of the week. I encourage y'all. I'm going to post it actually on the story this week so that you guys can see it and read it and go through it. And it actually got a lot of traction. I've seen a lot of people share this, and a lot of people comment in the comments and talking about it. And, attacking the little tidbits that it is. But all in all, that post of the week was fire. So much to unpack there. And whether you agree with it or not, I want to know y'all thoughts on it. So I'm going to post that this week on the Tough Talk _PDT Instagram. And y'all let me know what y'all think. But like I said, that was the post of the week. I got to figure out like a song or something for the post of the week, because I think that'll be a little hype, I promise y'all I ain't going to sing no more. So y'all can cook me about the singing. I know I'm going to get a bunch of comments about that. Man, bro, you tried to sing? What you thought you was, Gerald Levert? No, I didn't. I did a little bit. Anyways, getting into our topic of today's podcast, which is accountability. Man, accountability. It's a tough topic for sure, because in this topic, I feel like we're going to talk about a lot of us. And actually, this topic kicks off the series that I'm starting, which is called What About Us? The Problems Within. So I hope that y'all, stay tuned and stick around for the entire series as we end season 1, because that's how we're going to end season 1. We're going to have like a special guest Uh, we're gonna have a special guest like mid episode for like Mother's Day and Father's Day. But to end the season, we're gonna end the season with this series. What about us? The problems within. So accountability is our first topic in that. I forgot to mention that before, but y'all heard it now. But if you follow us on Tough Conversation Podcast on Instagram, you would know that. And I wouldn't have to say that on here. Okay, I'm being super silly today, but serious mode. The first topic in all of that is accountability. Now, accountability, like I said, I had to do some research about this, and I got my notepad again. So if y'all hear some, y'all just know it's my ideas. So, accountability, it's a lot of things I wanted to attack about accountability, and that I wanted to talk about when it comes to accountability. And it probably won't be all summed up in this one episode, so we might have to revisit this in season 2, because I do want to really, get to a lot of things within the end of this season to talk about accountability. But the first thing I want to discuss about accountability is, like, what does accountability mean? What does it mean to be accountable? What does it mean to have accountability? And so, of course, we look at the dictionary definition, but then I also want to give y'all my own personal definition of what I feel accountability means. And so the dictionary defines accountability as a fact or condition of being accountable. And so you ask yourself, okay, you use the same word to define the same word. So I really still don't get an understanding of it. So this is what I simplify accountability to mean. It's the understanding that because you take on responsibilities in this life, whether it's to your job, whether it's to your children, whether it's to your family, whether it's to your work or significant other, you are held accountable to your actions or the lack of. Case in point, when you bring a child into this world, you take on the responsibility of being held accountable as to what that child does, what that child knows, and etc. And that's true. Like, when you bring a child into this world, and that's just one example that I want to use, but I'm going to flow with it. When you bring a child into this world, you choose to bring a child into this world, you are held accountable for what that child does. When your child gets older and decides to do, are still in like they maybe teenage years or adolescence, as they call it, or not saying teenage years and adolescence, same thing, but when your child gets to their teenage years or gets to their adolescent years, you are accountable even after that. Like, a lot of people say, once you're 18, you're a grown adult, your parents can't, do nothing to you. While that may be true to some extent, your parents are still held accountable to you until the day they die. And even after that. And so what your child does, what your child knows, all of that you are held accountable to. If your child is 10 years old and decides to take a car out and go joyride and hit somebody, they gonna look at the child, yes, but they also gonna look at you as the parent, because you're gonna be held accountable, because this child is your responsibility, which takes us back to the post of the week that talked about accountability. Your life is 100% your own responsibility. You are held accountable to what that child does and how they go about doing things. When you are in a relationship, you are accountable to your partner for the things that you do and say. If you say you're not around your partner and you go to, let's say, on a trip, boys trip or whatever, and you just so happen to get caught up in flirting with some girl or a guy or whoever the case may be, and word gets back to your girl, you're held accountable for the things that you do while your partner is around and not around. If you rub somebody the wrong way in your partner's family, if you rub one of their friends the wrong way, you're held accountable for that. And they're held accountable for the things that you do. That's why when they say you get married, you become one, because you're accountable to each other for what y'all do, for what y'all say, how y'all go about things. All that plays in a part of accountability. Accountability is a tough topic to speak on in this generation, because nobody wants to be held to the standard of accountability, which is that of moral or ethical correctness. But we are going to have that conversation today for certain, because a lot of people feel as though, Accountability is just this linear thing. Like, I owned up to what I did, so that should be the end all be all. But accountability is a lot deeper than taking ownership of something. It's taking ownership of it and going about things in an ethical manner, in a moral manner. And I think that's overall what I wanted to say about accountability in this generation, is that this generation lacks so much morals that they lack accountability for the things that are morally right. And we can just be honest, like that's been the thing going on for centuries, but I feel like it's more so developing in a harder way in this uh generation, because this generation is lawless. This generation is just like just do whatever makes you feel good. That's okay. Like, who cares who you hurt as long as you good? Like, do you feel good about what you did? Okay, perfect. That's great. And nobody else matters after that. But accountability makes you take into consideration other people's feelings. Accountability makes you take into consideration the fact that, yeah, although this makes you feel good, um, how it's going to make somebody else feel is probably not the best thing. Now, there's a thin line between, doing what's going to make somebody else feel good and, you know, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Pandering to other people. There's a thin line between that, because although some will argue that, oh, well, not everything you're going to do is going to make other people feel good. Yes, that's true. But if you do things to a moral and correct standard of good morals and good correctness, then no matter if the person doesn't like what you're going to do, they're going to respect you for it. But when you do things out of moral consideration and out of moral consideration and out of ethical consideration, nobody's going to respect you at the end of the day. Even if they got to stop and think about what you did or how you did it, if they can't look back and say, you know what, I understand why they did that, then, because we all have, hindsight is 2020. We all look back on things and be like, you know what, I can understand why they, went about things this way, or why they did X, Y, and Z, or why he or she did this, or why she, said this. But if they can't look back and see the moral conscious behind that, or the ethical conscious behind that, then what you're doing ultimately was wrong then, and it's wrong now. So, accountability plays a form in all of that, and it has a form in all of that. And so when we talk about accountability in its form, accountability takes a lot of forms. It has 4 forms that I decided to kind of take away from just the word accountability. And that's accountability has the form of leadership, relationship, which is both platonic and intimate relationships, because yes, you can have accountability in platonic relationships and also intimate relationships. Partnerships, so like businesses or entrepreneurs who like have joint businesses with each other, and all of those things. And also in your personal, so your me, myself, and I. Yes, you personally can be held accountable to yourself, whether you believe it or not. You can be. So, discussing first leadership. As a leader, you're accountable to your peers and subordinates to do things that exemplify good leadership, good morals, and good ethics. I don't even think I need to dig deep in that. That was cut and dry. And I speak about that because, especially in the military, is where not only I learned that, not because I've always seen it happen, but because sometimes you learn things by what you don't see. And I had a very good mentor who told me that I learned what good leadership was by seeing what good leadership wasn't. And that has always stuck with me since he told me that when you see a leader who can be held accountable for even things that he did or did not do, that's good leadership. And I'm not just talking about that from a military standpoint. I mean that from 360-degree standpoint. No matter what facet of life you in right now, as a leader of a business or a leader of an organization, you have to have some code of accountability. And so leadership plays a huge part, and is the first thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to accountability in its form, because you exemplify the type of leader that you are by how well you are at taking accountability. The second thing is in relationships, both platonic and intimate. When we talk about relationships, friendships, uh, acquaintances, things of that nature, intimate. We already talked about the intimate part, but I still want to touch on a little bit of it. Is that when it comes to relationships and being accountable, you're accountable to your friends. You're accountable to uh, your lover or whoever the case may be, your partner, whoever you may call it, your boo, your baby, your stinker butt. I'm sorry. I was trying to be serious. I promise I was trying to be serious. But you're accountable to stink. You are held accountable to stink about the things that you do. And you present yourself and the aspect of accountability is a part of being a good person in a relationship, whether it be friendship, platonic or intimate. Is you present that one aspect of accountability, which can sometimes get overseen by everything else. Like if you can be held accountable for the things that you say and do, like that could be the deal breaker. If you can't be held accountable to that could be the deal breaker. Like if you can't be held accountable to what you say you're gonna do, or you said that we're gonna go do this. You said you were gonna be here for me when I needed you. You said that you were going to do this, and the third. You said you were going to whatever the case may be. Being held accountable and taking on that accountability and being there when you need to be is what separates you from everybody else. Because we got to think about it as we get older in life. We don't like really. There's nothing new under the sun. It really not. And the more we get older, the more these lies start to sound the same. The more these promises start to say the same. I know because I done told a lot of them. Oh, let me pause. Seriously, I done told a lot of them, and even sometimes, like looking back on the things that I've said to people and the promises I've made, and all those things, I look back and say, man, bro, some of that stuff was like, dang, was that like my favorite thing to say? Because I said it a lot, and now I almost like want to throw up at like saying it because now I mean it, and like I know what it meant when it was a lie, and now I mean it. I'm like, I gotta find a better way to say that because, yeah, it's too many bad memories for real. But being held to that standard of accountability in a relationship, friendship, whatever the case may be, will help grow the relationship and keep it going. Because if you can't be held accountable for the things that you promise, say that you're gonna do, or whatever the case may be, that might be the thing that like red flag, he's done, she's done, gone. So let's get that understood now. Relationships rely on accountability as one of the many factors to building a successful relationship, friendship, your boo, whoever the case may be. Like building that relationship with them is about accountability. Partnerships, when we talk about partnerships and accountability, whether it be in business, especially in business, you are held to accountability. Me and my brother Tim, we held each other accountable as it pertains. If anybody who knows me knows that, me and Tim had a business before called Jungle Life Clothing, and we held each other to a standard of, getting things done. Bro, we held each other so much to a standard that I drove probably 3 hours. And this is just a short story, and I'm not bigging myself up, but I drove 3 hours not only just to see my brother graduate from a school that he was attending, but so we and him could sit down and talk business. Why? Because that's accountability. Not only did I want to see my brother graduate from this awesome accomplishment in his life, but also I was holding myself accountable to sit down with my brother, talk to him about where I wanted to see things go, where I wanted to see things venture off into, in the whole 9 yards. And even now, like, we hold each other accountable with Pro Kingdom Apparel. We sit down, we have these conversations, we talk about things, and that's a part of accountability. Like, doing the things that's necessary to keep you honest in business, especially because a lot of things can happen. We both live busy lives, and I'm gonna use me and him in this example of business because it's the only one I can use right now. But when you hold each other accountable in those aspects, that's how you make business flourish. And granted, Jungle Life Clothing fell off for whatever reasons that was outside of our control. The pandemic just was not really good to any business, as we all know. So it fell through those aspects. But I could never say that because of the lack of accountability on his end or my end did that business fail, because that brother was down. What Brandy say? I wanna be down. No. All right, I quit. I said I'm not gonna sing no more. I'm sorry, but that brother was down, man, and we both did our thing in order to get that clothing line off the map and do what we needed to do. So I always tell him, like, man, when it comes to like accountability in that aspect, that brother was really like there with me. So love him to death and appreciate him. Tim, if you listen to this, bro, I love you. So, but that's a part of accountability, man. When your partner, your business partner, your financial partner, whoever the case may be, hold you accountable to the things that you put your promises and obligations into. Last but not least is personally. A lot of people don't even think about this, but you personally hold yourself accountable to a lot of things, to reminders, to setting, making dates, setting schedules, things of that nature. You hold yourself accountable to certain moral standards, certain ethical standards. And when you do that, you alleviate having somebody else to tell you, because that's the biggest thing, is that a lot of people don't want to be told about themselves. But when you hold yourself to an accountability standard, and when you hold yourself to a certain type of standard of being accountable to making dates, ensuring that you commit on your promises, that nobody else has to get in your grill about, hey bro, why you not doing this and the third, and I thought you said you was gonna be here for this, and I thought we were gonna do this and that. You ain't gotta worry about your girl hounding you or whatever the case may be when you holding yourself accountable. And accountability also comes into play when we're talking about communication, because communication also flows into the area of accountability. But we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to leave communication alone, because y'all know I love to talk about what it means to communicate. So, but holding yourself accountability, me, myself, and I, what do I need to do to hold me accountable to myself? So, think about that. Think about those forms of accountability, leadership, relationship, partnership, and personal. To think about those things this week and how they are applicable to maybe areas in your life where maybe as a leader you hold or don't hold yourself accountable at work or wherever the case may be. Think about it in your relationship, both in your friendships and your intimate relationships. Think about maybe you starting a business or have a business plan or thing of that nature, and you want to, do better at holding yourself accountable to make sure that thing jumps off and make sure that thing goes in the right direction. Personal. Think about things that you need to hold yourself personally accountable for. Maybe you need to hold yourself personally accountable about going to the gym. Maybe it's, you need to hold yourself personally accountable about getting up on time. Like, for real, that just happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was like, I woke up late twice for work, and I was so mad at myself because I was like, bro, I know what I need to do. I need to go to bed earlier. And man, I'm still kind of like hungover ish, not hungover like in the, drinking and stuff, but hungover over school and stuff, because I'm so used to like having to, write all these papers and like being up till like 3 o'clock in the morning and all those things. But and so my sleep schedule is off, and I'm like, you know what? No, now that I have this little free time to myself to like gather myself and get myself together, I'm going to go to bed at a decent time. Even now, I actually need to go to bed at a decent time right now, but it's 10:48 right now on Resurrection Sunday, and I wanted to get this podcast episode out to you guys. So that's what I'm doing, because I love y'all and I care about y'all getting this great information about being accountable. But I'm accountable to y'all to get this episode out. So you see how that no. I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to make it sound good. Nah. Oh my God! Listen, bro. Listen. I love having guests, but I be having a good time here, just talking to myself. No, just kidding. But I definitely appreciate having guests on because y'all, man, that last episode had me in tears. But getting back on track, accountability is more about us than it is about anybody else, and that's truth. Like when we self-analyze the fact that accountability comes from us and also other people too. But when we get accountability right with ourselves, we won't have to worry so much about how accountability sounds from everybody else. Because when other people hold us accountable, they may not always say it in the right way. They might always relish your feelings, because they're too busy thinking about how they feel about the accountability that you lacked. So when we don't give people a space to, maybe say things in a way that's like hurtful and things of that nature, when we hold ourselves accountable, we make it so that maybe the way somebody else's criticism of our accountability won't sound so bad. People are still going to hold you accountable because we all make mistakes. We all slip up and things of that nature, or let things fall out of our hold. But when we do a better job at being accountable, we alleviate yeah. I think clearly I am tired. No, I'm just kidding. But we alleviate the happenings of other people having to hold us accountable. I am laughing right now because I'm like, I want to take that part out of just me messing up, but I love it so much. I love the mess ups, y'all. Like a lot of people edit these things and take out the, mess ups. I feel like it's great content because y'all get to hear the authenticity. One of my favorite rappers has a song, NK4, has a song out called Authentic. Y'all probably will hear it in all my videos, but authentic. I like to keep it authentic. So, accountability forces us to look into our own situations instead of look at everyone else as the problem. And that's so very true because it's so easy for us to be able to look around at other people and be like, well, if I didn't have to do this, I would have been able to make this. Or if I didn't have to do X, Y, and Z, I would have been able to, do X, Y, and Z. Like, no. Let's think about this thing. You suck at accountability or you didn't make it to this obligation that you had because you did poor planning, or you didn't think this thing all the way through. That's what happened. And so accountability forces us to look at those situations and take everybody else out of the aspect. That's why I say it's more about us as the person, the whole person concept, than it is about everybody else. Because if it takes everybody else as the problem and makes us see like, hey, you know what? Maybe I messed up. Maybe I did. And even if you're holding somebody else accountable, like it takes them and makes them understand, like, there's a better way you could have went about this. Maybe it was communicating a little more. Maybe it was, setting your schedule up in a way to where, you were able to fulfill that promise that you made. And so that's the part of taking accountability and looking at it from a standpoint of not pointing the finger at everybody else, but pointing it back at you. And so accountability and responsibility go hand in hand, as I mentioned before, and the post of the week, which that post hit on something so like, man, something so deep to even understand. Like, no one is responsible. No one is coming to resolve your problems. Your life is 100% your responsibility. So you were given this life, and you have the responsibility to yourself to make certain things happen, to take certain people's advice, to not take certain people's advice, to go down this path, to not go down this path, to go to work every day, do your work and go home, to not get involved into things that are, detrimental to your career or to your lifestyle or to your health or to your wealth or whatever the case may be. You have a responsibility to those things. And when you don't adhere to those things, and don't take responsibility for doing or not doing those things, you need to hold yourself accountable. That's why accountability sometimes looks like a bad thing, because a lot of people take it the wrong way. But accountability helps us stay honest, not just to the people around us, but more so to ourselves. And we have to understand it. That has to be like the thing that we keep in the back of our mind, is that, it's not just for people to point at us and say, man, you should have did this and you could have did this. And I feel like you were supposed to be here to do this, and the third. No, it's for us to say, you know what? I said I was going to do this, and so I'm going to do it. I said I was going to be here when I said I was going to be here, so I'm going to be there. A lot of what me and Tim talked about in the last episode of Tough Conversations podcast was mainly centered around a lot of accountability when it comes to filmmaking and things of that nature. When you're working with a team of people, how we talk about teamwork makes the dream work. Like when you're working with a team of people, you hold them accountable to their portion of whatever project y'all working on. You hold yourself accountable to whatever relationships you build, whatever relationships you have. Hold yourself accountable and hold that other person accountable. Like, look at you first and then look at the other person. And are they holding up their end of the bargain? Don't let them skate from holding up their end of the bargain of building this friendship or relationship. And so, as when we're talking about accountability, a lot of people may feel like it's an attack. It's an attack on their character. It's an attack on, everything that they know or everything that they're doing. Accountability is not meant to be an attack. It's not meant to harm you. It's meant to help and assist you. And yeah, some people have a very bad way of holding you accountable because of how they say things. And that goes back to the communication piece. But you have to understand, as a person being held accountable, that, this person is just emotional about what they're saying, but maybe you listen to the context of what they're saying. Don't listen too much to the emotions behind it that may like deter you from understanding what they're truly saying. But listen to the context. Listen to the words that they're saying, because they're letting you know that they don't like the way you went about this. They don't like the way you went about doing X, Y, and Z, or not doing X, Y, and Z. So when we take a look at the accountability factor in relationships and friendships and in business and all those things, we look at how when people talk to us and tell us, hey man, you said you were going to be here and do this and X, Y, and Z, and you didn't, what's going on? As soft as I'm being with it, maybe somebody not that as soft. They like, man, what the, you could have did this, and and just flying off the hammer. Yes, while all that may seem traumatic and whatever the case may be, take a step back and think about, okay, clearly what I did made this person feel this type of way, and I have to do better. And you're not going to always get that thought process at the first instance, because, the flesh of you is going to want to go off. Let's just be honest. Like, man, who you talking to? Like, that's the first thing you're going to assess. Not the context of what the person's saying, or the content of what the person's saying. That's what I meant to say. The content. Assess the content, not the context. But the content of what the person's saying is not what you're going to assess first. You're going to assess how they're saying it. Like, man, what you mean? Who you talking to? That's the first thing you're going to want to assess. But once you override that, get off of that, the next thing you need to think about is, okay, clearly what I did made this person, or what I didn't do made this person feel some type of way. How do we relish this relationship and get back to being at right standards? And so with that responsibility and accountability, we also have to think about sometimes biting off more than we can chew, in a sense. And that can be how expectations of accountability are developed. And so when you say that you're going to do something, for an example, when you say that you're going to do something and you take on the accountability of saying that you're going to do whatever the case may be, say it's, you're going to meet somebody for a lunch or whatever, or take somebody on a date or whatever the case may be, have girls' night, guys' night, whatever the case may be. I know I keep saying that, but whatever it is in your life, whatever it is that, you're holding yourself accountable to, when you think about taking on that expectation or that accountability, there's an expectation that others have that you're going to either be where you say you're going to be or not. A lot of times, a lot of friendships, I see a lot of posts people talk about, we all laugh at it because, it's funny in a sense. But, when your friends say, oh, yeah, I'm going to be here. Yeah, I'm going to be at your party or whatever. I'm going to be at this dinner or whatever the case may be in your life. If you say that you're going to be there, but then you up and decide that, you know what? No. Like, yeah, of course people gonna feel some type of way because especially if you feel like if they feel that, they really wanted you to come out, they really wanted you to hang out, they really wanted you to be around and things of that nature, then you just drop out of it. Like anybody gonna feel some type of way. But explaining that and talking things over and holding yourself to accountability of, you know what, maybe you wasn't feeling like going to it in the first place, but you didn't want the peer pressure of, them trying to convince you to come and go and all that. You didn't want that on you. You gotta hold yourself accountable and say those things. Like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest, man. I ain't really trying to hang out. I ain't really trying to go out. I'm just not feeling it. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm not gonna go. Like it's for a long time, it was a lot of friends who like didn't invite me anywhere because they know like I was gonna keep it 100. Like, man, I ain't coming, bro. I'm gonna just be honest. Like, and they was like, man, yeah, that's why we never invited you nowhere. And I respect that because you have that communication. That communication holds you accountable to understanding that this person just not gonna come to where you had them at. But the communication piece and that accountability is that I said I wasn't gonna be there. So you can't hold me accountable for being somewhere that I told you I was not gonna be. It's just how it is. And so we have to have that same, and I say we because I, once again, as I always say, suffer from a lot of the things that I'm talking about. Some of the hardest topics to talk about is the topics that you go through. But we still have to talk about them here on Tough Conversations Podcast. So a lot of those things that, a lot of times we don't want to talk about, those things are going to, surface. But holding yourself accountable and other people holding you accountable in that light helps to keep you honest. It helps them to understand how to go about dealing with you. I didn't feel no type of way that my friends told me like, hey, it's just some things we don't invite you to because we just know you're not going. I didn't take no feeling because I know me. Like, I know I don't like present myself as to going out to these certain places. There's a lot of places that my friends go that I just won't go to. And they know that. But that helps the relationship, the friendship that you have with people when they understand where you're coming from. And so as much as we can always look at accountability and like the relationship aspect of like boyfriend and girlfriend, and how marriage and things of that nature. I'm not married, so I'm not going to talk about that, and I'm not in a relationship to give no relationship advice in that aspect. But I know what it looks like when you're dating, and when you've been in relationships, and you want to understand the other person. You hold them accountable to the things that they say they're gonna do. You hold them accountable to making dates, being at dates, making time for you, being there when it's time to be there for you, you hold them accountable for being visible. It would suck to be in a relationship with somebody that you feel invisible to. Like, how does that even work? So that's accountability, like holding them accountable in that aspect. Holding them accountable in friendships. When you have friends, holding them accountable. Hey, you said you was gonna be here, for X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's not a boys' night or a girls' night. Maybe it's just you want somebody to talk to, and you want to talk to your friend in person about something, about some things that's going on with you that maybe you can't talk to your significant other about or your family about. Being that good friend, holding them accountable, because friendships rely on being accessible to people. Good friendships are built off of being accountable and accessible. And where you're neither, how do you expect the friendship to grow? How do you expect relationships to grow? How do you expect partnerships to grow? How do you expect yourself to grow when you're not accountable or accessible? And you're not accessible to be held accountable. I'm gonna say that one more time. How do you expect yourself to grow or your relationship to grow when you're not accessible to be accountable? That's it. Accountability almost always has like a bias against it because a lot of people only want to look at it from one aspect. Oh, it's only looking at, holding somebody else accountable. But you got to hold you accountable too. And if you don't take nothing away from anything that I'm saying on this podcast, on this episode, is that before you hold somebody else accountable, which you should, hold yourself accountable first. Hold yourself accountable first. We put everybody else before ourselves. And as good as that is at times, you have to hold you accountable. You have to take care of you first. When you get on the plane, and somebody told me this and it makes so much sense now. When you get on a plane and they doing all the safety checks, what's the one thing they tell you about yourself? Put on your oxygen mask first before helping anybody else. Y'all thought the podcast went off, but I'm still here. I'm going to leave off on that note. Let that sizzle in your spirit, as Country Wayne says. Once again, that was the topic of today's podcast, accountability. If you don't take nothing out of what I just said, hold yourself accountable. You are accountable to yourself first. You are, if you consider yourself a child of God, you are held accountable to Christ, yourself, and then the people around you. But hold yourself accountable. And then hold everybody else accountable to the things that they said they're going to do, to the places that they say they're going to be, and all of those things. Man, this has been a great episode. I talked for a little while. I know I talked a long while. The ideas really just started to flow. So I just wanted to get that out there. And I truly, truly thank y'all for listening. If you're listening right now, don't forget to stop and go check out Pro Kingdom Apparel on Instagram. Don't forget to check them out. Check out Pro Kingdom Apparel on Instagram. I'm going to say it one more time. Go check out Pro Kingdom Apparel on Instagram. And do not forget to tune in until the next 3 episodes of Tough Conversations Podcast, where I'm doing a series called What About Us? The Problem Within. Thank y'all so much for checking out this first episode of the series. Many more episodes to come. We're gonna have a good time talking about these tough conversations. I even might have a panel on for one of the conversations that I definitely want to talk about when it talks about the problems with inside of us. But we're gonna get to that at another day. Continue to check out the podcast, continue to share, continue to stream it. Thank y'all so much for y'all support. Family, it's been great talking with y'all, and I just can't wait to hear y'all opinions on this today's topic. And thank y'all for listening as always. Thank y'all. Don't forget to check out Tough Conversations Podcast on Instagram. That is Tough Talk _PDT. Tough Talk _PDT to see more information about this episode and many more episodes to come. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And as I always say, we is out of here. Thank y'all.